What is poppin' YouTube? Back again with another video. Today we are talking about my top 3 handcuff running backs that you need to be stashing right now on your dynasty teams in case of injury happening in the next few months. If you wouldn't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Best free way to support me on the channel. Let's go. My first running back we're going to talk about today is Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford was selected in the 5th round by the Cleveland Browns last offseason to be the heir apparent to Kareem Hunt in the backfield. Looking at what's happened this year, Dearness Johnson's gone, Kareem Hunt is gone. Jerome Ford has every opportunity to be that secure handcuff for Nick Chubb and potentially even have some week-to-week value. Let us not remember the type of prospect that Jerome Ford was. Now, I know he was a 5th round running back pick, which means there's not a high probability that he's ever going to turn out to be anything. But in his last year with Cincinnati, he played 13 games, 215 rushing attempts, 1,300 yards, and 20 total touchdowns. Dude was a monster. I know he transferred to Cincinnati after being at Alabama, being behind some really great running backs. And I think it's really hard to look at last year and say, how can we project this forward? Because he was available in 13 games, but he only had 8 rushing attempts. So I think it's a little hard and early to say that, hey, Jerome Ford cannot do it. But the thing is, the Cleveland Browns clearly believe in him because they haven't brought anyone in or they haven't re-signed Kareem Hunt. It doesn't sound like they are going to be re-signing Kareem Hunt anytime soon. So I am looking to acquire, pick off waivers, trade a late round 3rd pick for Jerome Ford with the upside that if something happens to Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford could be on the field a lot more. My second guy is going to be Keaontay Ingram with the Arizona Cardinals. A few days ago, I talked about my love from James Conner and how I think James Conner is a super buy low for contenders in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Along the same lines, Keaontay Ingram is the RB2 behind James Conner. And so if something were to happen to James Conner, Keaontay Ingram would instantly step into that RB1 role for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, are we a little bit worried that Kyler Murray is injured? Is the offense going to be as efficient? Rumors that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be back. So even if they do have Hop and Hollywood Brown on the outside with whatever quarterback's throwing the ball, there's no way that that offense is going to be efficient without Kyler Murray. In years past, the Arizona Cardinals have really had 2 running backs that have been fantasy viable. I mean, even if we think James Conner, Chase Edmonds, James Conner, Benjamin. Last year it was just mostly James Conner. But if we look into this year, we could easily see a way that Keaontay Ingram makes his way onto that field, into that same little role where he's coming in on 3rd downs. He's catching some dump offs, but kind of along the same lines as Jerome Ford. It's really hard to project Keaontay Ingram out, especially considering the fact he played in 12 games last season, but he only had 27 rush attempts for 2.5 yards per carry, which isn't great, but it's hard to know when you only have an 11% snap share and opportunity share in your backfield. I am banking all of this on projection. I'm not saying that Keaontay Ingram is an elite athlete. I'm not saying that he's anything more than a jag. If you have him at the back end of your bench and there's a chance that something happens to James Conner and you can throw him in as your RB2 or flex spot, especially in a deeper dynasty league, go see if Keaontay Ingram is on your waivers. And my 3rd running back that you need to be looking to potentially pick up here on the waivers to support your team that could have some really great weeks for you is Jaylen Warren. I talked about yesterday how Najee Harris is rising up my dynasty rankings for a few reasons. His value after last season having a down year was a little bit deflated just based on the offense. Kenny Pickett was coming into himself as a rookie quarterback, and then I think that's going to improve. But at the same time, there was debates happening last year on the Twitterverse that Jaylen Warren actually might be better than Najee Harris. Now, do we believe that because Najee Harris was taken in the 1st round? The Pittsburgh Steelers aren't going to let Najee Harris just completely fall off the bandwagon and hand the ball off to Jaylen Warren, who was an undrafted rookie. But in the 16 games that Jaylen Warren did play last season, he had 77 rushing attempts, 4.9 yards per carry. And the 4.9 yards per carry is what everyone was talking about. It was like Jaylen Warren looks a lot more explosive than Najee Harris. I think there's definitely some truth to that. But I also think the Pittsburgh Steelers, there was rumors all offseason that the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to be taking a running back, like a Zach Evans type or a Tajay Spears type in that 3rd, 4th, 5th round range. And they didn't. And now maybe that's because the values didn't follow them, but that means Jaylen Warren is the RB2 heading into this season. And as much as we think Najee Harris can be a workhorse, he has been a workhorse in the past. If something were to happen to Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren is instantly the beneficiary of that type of situation. So being able to have Jaylen Warren, who's potentially on waivers, maybe the Najee owner is smart and already has him on their team, but even to be able to go trade one of those wide receivers that should probably be on waivers on your bench, to trade that guy for Jaylen Warren could be something of value to you. Or even trading a late round 3rd round pick, because let's be honest, the 3rd round picks, the chances that they perform or turn into anything is very slim to none, and that you could easily see a way that Jaylen Warren turns into something in case something happens to Najee Harris. Like I said, if you agree with any of these guys, let me know. Let me know down below. Who are some other running backs? Who are some other waiver wire targets that you currently have on your deep dynasty benches? We'll be back again tomorrow with another mock draft. We'll actually be going live at noon, so make sure you tune into that. Send me a message on Twitter if you want to get into the mock draft, but I will catch you guys tomorrow, and stay classy, my friends.